Naya breathed slowly as she moved across the desert ground, her eyes scanning the silent land around her. She was an Apache warrior, trained since childhood to read every sign the earth offered. But tonight the desert felt wrong. The wind was too sharp, the silence too heavy, the air buzzing with something her tribe had never known before. The sky above her glowed with a strange light, as if a falling star had torn the night open. Her small scouting party followed her quietly, trusting her instincts. Naya lifted her hand, signaling them to stop. She crouched and touched the sand. It was warm, too warm. She had seen lightning fires. She had felt the sun burn the ground. But this was different. It felt like the sand had been heated by something unnatural. One of her scouts whispered her name, asking what she sensed, but before she could answer, a sound ripped through the desert. It was a sharp hum, like metal grinding against the sky. Everyone looked up. A machine, silver and glowing, flew above them. None of them had ever seen anything like it. It moved without wings, without smoke, without sound, until it suddenly screamed and sent a flash of bright light toward them. Naya shouted for her warriors to spread out. The ground exploded where they had just been standing. The battle came fast. The machines hovered like hungry vultures, shining bright red eyes down upon the desert. They shot beams of light that cracked the earth open. Naya rolled behind a large rock, lifting her bow and firing. Her arrow struck the machine, but it bounced off as if she had thrown a feather. Another warrior tried a spear. Same result. The machines were built of metal, harder than anything they had known. One machine lowered itself toward her. She drew another arrow, but before she could release it, the machine fired. The ground beneath her exploded, throwing her into the air. She hit the sand hard. Pain rushed through her body. She tried to stand, but fell again. She looked down at her legs, and fear froze her heart. She could not move them. Her warriors tried to reach her, but more machines descended, surrounding them with deadly beams. The warriors shouted to her, but she ordered them to fall back. They hesitated, torn between loyalty and survival. She screamed again for them to go. Finally, with sorrow in their eyes, they retreated, leaving her behind. She watched them disappear into the night, her breathing sharp and painful. She was alone. The machines flew above her as if scanning her. She expected them to finish her, but suddenly a distant sound echoed across the desert. Gunfire. Not Apache gunfire. This was loud, sharp, and fast. The machines jerked in the air, turning toward the sound. More gunfire. The machines rose, confused, and then flew off into the darkness. Naya lay there, trying to stay awake. Her vision blurred. The stars above her twisted into strange shapes. She thought she heard footsteps, a voice, and the sound of a horse, but her mind drifted away, and everything faded into darkness. When she woke again, she felt warmth on her face. It was a fire. She blinked slowly. She was inside a cabin, an old wooden one. The air smelled like smoke and dry wood. She tried to move, but pain shot through her body. She gasped, and a man turned toward her. He had a calm face, dust on his clothes, and gentle blue eyes. He wore a hat that told her he was a cowboy. "You're awake," he said softly. "Easy now. You've been through hell." Naya stared at him, her mind still foggy. She tried to reach for her knife, but he raised his hands calmly. "I'm not your enemy," he said. "Name's Luke. Found you in the desert. I couldn't leave you there." She looked at him with suspicion. She had been taught never to trust settlers. Many of them had wronged her people. And yet, she was alive because of him. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. He held a cup of water to her lips. She drank slowly, feeling the coolness revive her. "What happened to your legs?" he said quietly, not finishing his sentence. He didn't speak with pity, just honesty. She swallowed hard and looked away. Her legs were wrapped in cloth, but she could not feel them. "Why did you bring me here?" she whispered. Because you needed help, he answered. You should have left me, she said firmly. My tribe already did. Luke shook his head. No person deserves to be left alone in the desert. Not like that. Naya closed her eyes. Shame pressed on her chest. She had been a warrior. She had led her people with pride. Now she felt useless, a burden, broken. Luke checked the fire, added wood, and sat beside her but kept his distance, showing respect. I saw the metal things out there, he said. Machines. But nothing from this world. What were they? We do not know, she whispered. They fell from the sky. They killed my warriors. They took my legs. I failed them. Luke shook his head. You didn't fail anyone. Those things, they're not something you could have known about? Naya didn't respond. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The desert wind whispered outside the cabin walls. Later that night, when the moon was high, Naya heard the same humming sound from the sky. She froze. Luke looked out the window. They're searching, he said. They're looking for something. For me, she whispered. The machines moved across the sky like searching wolves. Luke closed the shutters and kept the fire low. He sat beside her to keep watch. Naya felt her heart pound. She had never feared anything in her life, not storms, not enemies, not the harsh desert. But these machines were something different. When the sound finally faded away, Luke let out a slow breath. Naya looked at him quietly. She studied his face, trying to understand him. Cowboys and Apache rarely stood on the same side, but he had saved her. He had risked himself to bring her here. Why? Why help me? She asked again, her voice softer now. Luke shrugged a little. Saw someone bleeding out in the sand. Didn't matter who you were. I wasn't going to let you die. She listened to his words. They were simple, honest, and they confused her heart more than the machines did. The next day, Naya tried to sit up. Luke helped her gently but didn't touch her unless she agreed. She appreciated that. Her pride was already wounded enough. She looked at her legs and felt a heavy ache inside. She thought of her tribe, how they had seen her as strong, brave, unbreakable. She wondered what they would think of her now. Luke noticed her silence. You're still strong, he said gently. I can see it in your eyes. You're a fighter. She turned away. A warrior must stand, she whispered. A warrior must run. A warrior must fight on her feet. You can still fight, Luke said. You just need time and help. She hated that word. Help. It made her feel weak. But as she looked at the desert through the small cabin window, she knew one thing. She could not survive alone. Not now. Not with those machines hunting the land. That night, Luke made soup and fed the fire while she listened to the desert winds. He told her stories, simple ones about riding cattle, surviving dust storms, and fixing old barns. His voice was calm and warm, like a soft blanket over the cold air. For the first time since the machines attacked, Naya didn't feel alone. Later, as the fire dimmed and Luke prepared to sleep on the floor near the door, Naya whispered something she never thought she would say. You saved me, she said quietly. Thank you, Cowboy. Luke smiled slightly. Anytime. As she drifted into sleep, Naya felt a strange feeling rise inside her. It was small, fragile, but real. Hope. Even if her tribe had left her for dead, this one stranger stayed. And deep in her heart, she knew her story was not over. Naya woke with the first light of dawn streaming through the cabin window. Her body ached, but she felt different, stronger somehow. The night had brought clarity. The machines had not finished with her or her tribe. They would return, but she was no longer entirely helpless. Luke was awake already, sharpening a small knife while his horse grazed outside. His calm presence gave her courage. I can walk a little today, she said, her voice firm. Luke looked up and smiled. He nodded without words. Together, they moved to the open desert. He helped her into a makeshift frame he had built from wood and metal supporting her legs. It was crude, but it worked. She tested it slowly, rocking back and forth, her muscles trembling. Pain lanced through her, but she didn't stop. She refused to. "You're tougher than you look," Luke said. "Just take it slow." Naya shot him a glare. "I am a warrior," she said simply. She would not let her pride die. The first steps were shaky, but by midday she could move a few meters on her own. Luke stayed close, cheering her quietly. The feeling of motion, even slow and awkward, filled her with renewed spirit. For the first time since the battle, she imagined standing tall again. They returned to the cabin, and Luke began gathering old metal scraps and wood from the surrounding desert. "We'll make something better for you," he said. "Something strong enough to fight with." Naya studied him, skeptical. Humans were clever, but could they truly understand the ways of a warrior? Yet she had no choice. Together, they built a reinforced frame that wrapped around her legs, with straps, hinges, and small wheels. It was clumsy, but when she tried it, she could move with surprising speed. "Not bad," Luke said, grinning. "Now you can fight from a distance and still move fast." Naya flexed her arms, feeling the warrior spark return. Her hands had always been weapons, and now they would be her legs too. By evening, they heard the hum again. The machines were searching, moving methodically across the desert. Naya knew they were drawn to her. She felt a surge of anger, not fear. They had taken much from her, but she would not let them win. Luke nodded toward the horizon. "We need a plan. They'll be back, and stronger." Naya's eyes narrowed. "Then we will be ready." For the next several days, they trained. Luke taught her to shoot with her bow from her new frame, to move silently across sand, and to use the terrain to their advantage. Naya adapted quickly. She learned to lean and balance, to pivot and aim without moving her legs freely. Her warrior instincts combined with Luke's inventive mind made her faster and smarter. She even began setting small traps, hidden pits, weighted branches, and rocks tied to rope. Luke provided tools, Naya provided strategy. One evening, Luke discovered something half buried in the sand. A strange, silver machine, broken but intact. Its surface glowed faintly. Naya crouched beside him, inspecting it. "This is what controls the others," she said. "Destroy it, and the others will fall." Luke nodded. "Then that's our goal." Naya studied the sky and the desert, making mental maps. The plan would require courage and precise timing. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the humming returned, louder this time. A small group of machines flew toward them, scanning. Naya moved carefully, hiding behind rocks while Luke took position on horseback. He fired carefully, drawing the machines into the traps they had set. Rocks fell, ropes snapped, pits opened. One by one, the machines were caught. Naya aimed from her frame and released arrows with deadly accuracy. Each shot found its mark. Her arms burned, but she ignored it. The machines began to fall one by one, but the sky darkened as more came, larger and faster. Naya's heart pounded. She could not fail. Not now, not after everything. Luke shouted, urging her to stay focused. They worked as one. He rode boldly, drawing the machines into Naya's traps, dodging and rolling with expert skill. Her arrows flew straight and true. Sparks and metal flew in all directions. For a moment, it seemed as if they could not be stopped. Then a massive drone descended, larger than the rest. Its eyes glowed red, scanning the desert. Naya froze. She had never seen anything like it. Luke spurred his horse forward, firing shots to distract it. Naya readied her bow, feeling her arms strain, the sweat on her brow stinging her eyes. She took a deep breath, and then she fired. The arrow struck a weak joint in the machine, and it staggered. Sparks exploded. and it collapsed into the sand. The rest of the drones hesitated, then faltered. Without their leader, their movements grew chaotic. Naya and Luke continued their attack, finally destroying every remaining machine. The sky was silent once more. Exhausted, Naya sank to the ground, her frame still supporting her. Luke dismounted and sat beside her, breathing heavily. "You did it," he said quietly. "We did it." Naya looked at the horizon, her chest heaving. She felt a mix of pride and relief. She had fought not just for herself, but for her people. When the desert grew quiet, they began their journey back to her tribe. The land seemed different now, safer somehow, but Naya knew her people would need proof that she survived and that humans could be allies. Luke rode beside her, patient and steady. The sun rose higher, warming the sand. Naya could feel her strength returning, not just in her arms, but in her spirit. As they neared the tribe's camp, scouts spotted them. Naya recognized some faces immediately, warriors who had abandoned her. They stared in disbelief as she approached, moving steadily with her frame. Her legs were broken, but her will was stronger than ever. The tribe elders gathered, and Naya stood tall before them. She told them everything: the machines, the battle, Luke's help, and how they had defeated the invaders together. The elders listened, astonished. Some bowed their heads in shame for leaving her behind. Others nodded in respect, recognizing her courage. Luke stepped forward, and Naya placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is the man who saved me," she said. "He fought with me, and he taught me that strength comes in many forms." The tribe murmured among themselves. Respect filled the air. Luke smiled humbly, and some of the younger warriors nodded with admiration. For the first time in months, Naya felt a sense of belonging again. Her tribe welcomed her back not just as a survivor, but as a warrior reborn. Her legs were broken, but her spirit was unbroken. She had faced death, been abandoned, and yet she had risen stronger than before. That night, Naya and Luke stood on a ridge overlooking the camp. The stars above shone brightly, no machines in sight. Naya rested her hand on the reinforced frame that now carried her across the desert. "I thought I was finished," she said quietly. "But you showed me I am not. That I can still fight. That I still have a future." Luke looked at her, his eyes warm and steady. "You never lost it," he said. "You just needed to see it for yourself." The wind swept across the ridge, carrying with it the scent of the desert and the promise of new days. Naya felt a deep calm inside her. Her journey was far from over. There would be challenges, threats, and dangers she could not yet imagine. But she had learned a truth stronger than fear. Humans could rise, adapt, and fight, even when the odds were against them. And sometimes the courage of one person could restore the hope of another. Naya turned her gaze to the horizon. The desert stretched endlessly before her, full of life, mystery, and danger. She knew she would face more battles, but she would never face them alone. Luke was beside her, and together they had proven that even when the world abandoned a warrior, courage, friendship, and human ingenuity could turn the tide. She lifted her chin, feeling the wind on her face. The sun rose higher, burning the desert gold, and Naya allowed herself a small, proud smile. She was alive. She was a warrior. And this was only the beginning.